that's enough, Bane. We got a show to go. So, first question is, how did you transition in high school? What was it like? Like for you, Rob, were you starting in high school all 4 years, or did you do JV any?
Well, well, it's kind of crazy how I actually transitioned to high school. I grew up, like I say, going to, Lexington Middle School with all the guys that I lived with and grew up with.
Mhm.
And Lexington Middle School and the high school basically ran the wishbone. So we ran the wishbone at the middle school, so we just carried that right on into the high school. And so my ninth grade year, when I was finished my eighth grade year, where we lived at, we was on the border of the city school and the county school. And I had one of my brothers went to the county school, and everybody else in the family went to Lexington. And my ninth grade year, my brother came to me, the one that was at Central Davidson, said, "Man, you need to go down to Central." He said, "You go down there, you'll be a star." And I started thinking about it. At the high school, with Lexington having so many running backs, I mean, it was just, and Lexington was a powerhouse at the time.
Yeah.
And I kind of listened to my brother, and I transferred schools. I went down to Central Davis, and it was probably it was a good move for me personally, but we probably could have won some championships had I stayed at Lexington. That's just how, with me being with some of the guys that was already there, we would have been pretty tough to beat. But I listened to my brother, and that's how I got to Central Davidson, which was Lexington was predominantly, more black,
Mhm.
and Central Davidson was predominantly white.
Yeah.
So, it was less athletes there, but like I said, they treated me good once I got there.
No, that's real good.
Yeah, that's how I transitioned to high school, and I started JV as a running back, and I go, and that's kind of how my career got started at the high school.
Yeah. What about you, Wilmot?
I was I didn't get basically good in football or basically in the sports really good, being noticeable until like 10th, 11th grade. Like I had growth spurts and stuff like that is what basically developed me into who I am. By the time I was 15, 16 years old, I was 6'1", you know what I mean? But I was like 180, 190. So by the time I got to my 11th, 12th grade year in high school, by the time I was in the 12th grade, I was 225 pounds. You know what I mean? So I gained over like 60, 70 pounds over 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was just, I played with a bunch of athletes, and the coaches didn't, to me, I ain't gonna say the coaches didn't know what they were doing, but they were playing the people they thought were best. And I was the youngest one out of all of them anyway. And I always played linebacker for the longest time. I never really thought about running back like that.
Yeah.
And then finally, my junior year, the senior gets hurt after he wins the extra effort award. The week he wins the extra effort award, he gets hurt. So I finally started running the ball in an actual game in high school in 11th grade. That was week 8, 9. You know how the extra effort award goes.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was just my senior year. It was just balls to the wall. And like I was good at every sport.
So somebody got hurt and you took advantage of it, and the rest is pretty much history.
Yep.
But
coming out of high school, I was recruited as a linebacker.
Which one you like better?
Everybody running the ball. That's why I chose running back.
Oh yeah.
Only North Carolina State wanted me to play linebacker. I had a little visit to Clemson. They wanted me to go to play linebacker. Didn't want to play linebacker. North Carolina Central wanted me to play linebacker. And North Carolina A&T was the only school to offer me a scholarship to play running back. To North Carolina A&T, I figured to Livingstone.
Okay. No, that makes sense. What about you, Coach White?
Unfortunately, I wasn't lucky like Claude and Wilmot. We didn't have middle school football. So my community football on the highways and on the dirt, and with playing with the high school players, they sold me. They told the coach, high school coach, how I play, and he couldn't wait for me to get into high school. And I started as a freshman on the varsity team. But so I really didn't have that much background in football until I reached high school, besides playing with the Park and Rec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rob, you mentioned the wishbone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Wilma, what offense did y'all run in high school?
Some of everything. Power I. We ran a little bit of the wishbone in the red zone. We mainly ran the power I.
Yeah.
Because we always had 3 big backs. And coach didn't want to sit either one of us. Our running backs were bigger than our linemen. So he knew if we were all back there together, we could figure out who was unblocked, and we just block somebody and make stuff happen.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Got
Coach,
to tell you.
oh, go ahead, Wilma.
Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I said, guys will tell you that I played with a high school. They'd be like, Wilmot was bigger than us in high school, and I was a lineman.
And
I'm like, hey man.
Oh,
Reginald, now the wishbone was at Lexington. So when I went to Central Davidson, we ran the I.
Oh, y'all ran the
So
I.
we ran the I. I was an I back. I love running the I. I just, I felt comfortable. I felt at home in the I, always.
Yeah. So which one could you see more? Could you see more in the I or the wishbone?
I could see more in the I. For me, I could see more in the I. I could see the whole field. With the wishbone, you're going to either be on one side, one side, but one back on one side, the other back on the other side. So, it just depends on, what you were running in the wishbone. But in the I, you had to see everything. You could see everything, the whole defense.
Mm-hmm. So that leads to another question. Why is having field vision is one thing on the field, but why is having a life vision important?
A life vision?
Yeah, a vision for your life. Being able to see where you want your life to go at, mapping it out. Why is that important?
I think, for me, this is just me personally. I probably didn't get a life vision until later. Mm-hmm. When I was younger, I was so wild and crazy. I couldn't see a life vision like that. You know what I'm saying? It was I could always maneuver now, but I didn't see a life vision until after I graduated college and started settling down and really start trying to live the way I wanted to live and take care of my family, raise my kids, be a great coach. When I was playing football, it was just I didn't have no cares in the world. I just played.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. So that's just me personally.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. What about you, Coach White? Why is important?
Listen at Rob and I'm pretty sure Will Mont's in the same boat. When I was playing ball, you had to concentrate on the good master, which is God. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't, you would get yourself in trouble. Because like I said, it was a lot of prejudice things going on during the time I played. Mm-hmm. Now, I always had a life vision of playing either professional baseball or professional football. And that's what I strive, to do. So I wasn't a party-going person. I'm not saying Rob was a party-going person, but the different generations grew up different than what I grew up. I grew up in the church where Rob probably grew up, and Wilmot, since he's younger, probably going to all the parties and this and that. Where coming from my family in the background with so many of us in our family, I didn't have that part in life. I was always trying to advance and get ahead of the game by, looking forward, looking ahead, because you're talking about 11 of us. We're in a 5-bedroom small house, no more about 2,000 square feet. You know, I always wanted to make a way for my family to grow and, you know, and live comfortable.
Yeah.
So I was always looking at, you know, trying to get in the professional rank.
Yes, sir.
And I don't mean to jump in, but you know, I was the baby of the family. So I had all my brothers and sisters, they came before me. So it made my road a little easier. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say, you know, I'm into the church now, don't get me wrong.
No.
But it made my road a little, that's why I say I was a little bit more carefree because, you know, my brothers, they was working, they was helping out, you know, with families, you know, with things that was going on in the family, you know, so it made it a little easier with me being the youngest one. They made a lot of sacrifices for me.
Ron, what I mean, I know you're in the church. I know you're a good person. You ain't Wilmot. Yeah, I know y'all in church. But what I'm saying, my dad never went to one of my football games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he never went to one of my sporting events where y'all had the parents that probably supported y'all. Where my dad, third grade education, I mean, he didn't know nothing about. One thing he knew was what people were saying about me, because he was a longshoreman, which was making good money. You know, over 100,000 or better, you know, a year. And that was back in the days. But he never supported me in sports. Even my mom couldn't get out there to see me. You know what I'm saying? Only my brothers and very few of my sisters.
Right.
But the brothers that that paved the way for me, they was my strong supporters.
Right. Yeah. I got you.
I mean, I know you're in the church, you know. You better be in the church.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And one thing, Rob, you mentioned is, like you said, you were the youngest. So your brothers, they were trailblazers. Mm-hmm. You had a paved road. You could just go down the paved road where they had to make the road first, put dirt on it, asphalt. Mm-hmm. So you had it, you know, when you grow up behind somebody, you got it a little bit easier than they have it because they're the ones who leading the way.
Right. And I can relate with Coach White, you know, because my dad came to all my games. That was one thing he did do. He came to all my games. But my mom only came to one game. She only saw me play one game, which was my senior year, my homecoming game. And that was the only game she ever saw me play. And a couple months later, she passed away. So I understand where you're coming from, Coach. And, you know, it's tough when you don't have, you know, that support, you know, but oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What about you, Wilmot? Did your mom come to your games? I know your uncle, he came to your games.
My mom was scared to watch me play football.
Why? You and everybody else?
I'm the only child.
Okay.
I understand that.
My mom didn't want to see me play no sport that was full contact. She was like, my baby gonna get hurt. My baby gonna get hurt. Even when I was smaller, she always say that. Even when I got bigger than other people, she still was scared. And people used to tell her, you need to go see your son play. Your son can ball. This and that. My uncle always tell him, after every game, he would go home and tell my mom, oh, he played all right. He didn't get hurt. He'll be okay, stuff like that. If I got hurt, he would be the first person down to the field. Mm-hmm. And if he didn't have his cell phone on him, he was leaving to go call my mom and tell my mom what was going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mom really supported me like that. She was sort of scared of it. Once I got to college, you saw her. In college, she came, but she didn't come as much as my uncle.
Yeah.
My mom, her thing was, that's a guy thing. Mm-hmm. I know you're doing good. I know you're doing what you want to do. There's somebody there to support you. Because that's all she knew. They know all I wanted was somebody there to give me support. So if I can look in the field and see no love nowhere else, I can look for about somebody in my family with. As long as it was like that, I was fine. Until I started getting to thinking of not even more or less not even thinking about who was in the stands, just playing the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When something's wrong, you always look to find somebody to give you support.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because anytime you're successful as you three are, you got to have some kind of support. Not just from your teammates, but from someone back at home, your family. And I did the same thing when I played. I would always look in the stands and say, okay, is my dad there? Is my mom there? And then you're going to play a little, you got a little bit of joke. But I had teammates in high school, and man, they dad's mom never came to the game, man. And you know, parents, if your kid is playing sports or into anything, you need to support these kids because number one, they're doing it. So they need support from their parents. Coaches can do one thing, but parents, you gotta do your business to help these kids out also. Next question I got for you, and I'll do this for you, Rob. What makes a great running back?
You know, I thought about this question, and honestly, in my own personal opinion, what makes a great running back is having a good relationship with the offensive lineman. And I really learned that the hard way. You got to have a great relationship with your offensive line. But earlier I was going to come back and say, I believe that you got to be born with it. And I'm going to go into that in a minute.
Yeah.
But when I was in, it was back when my first game, JV, football in high school. I think we played some team. I can't remember what team we played, but I think I had a big game. I had 200 some yards, probably scored 2 or 3 touchdowns. We won the game. And I got on, you know, this was my first time. You know, I'm a little young fella coming up, and you know, at the football game, you get interviewed. So they, you know, they came, the Lexington News and Record came and interviewed me, and you know, I rattled off about how good I was. You know, I did it all. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know no better, and so I'm assuming probably doing film session, somebody that was blocking on that offensive line had to say something to the head coach.
Yeah.
And so that Monday at practice, you know, Coach Anker came to me. He said, "Claude, you can't just talk about yourself." He said, "You got to give your offensive line some credit, or they won't block for you."
Yeah.
And it made sense, because the next game, although we won it, I knew they really didn't want to block for me. You know. And from that moment on, I knew any interview I had, I always gave my offensive line credit, because they're the unsung heroes. Nothing really happens without that. The better relationship you got with your offensive line, the better back you can be, because there's not one back, I don't care who you are, they can do it all by themselves.
No.
And so to me, to be a great running back, at first you got to have that relationship with your offensive line. And then, like I said, you got to be born with the it. And that it is most of the time, the person that's got it don't know they got it until it takes somebody else to tell them that they got it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I use myself as an example. I go back to when I first, you know, like I say, I saw Frankie, I signed up for little league football, and you know, I didn't know nothing about football. I'm kind of like Coach White. I didn't know nothing about football. So I go to practice, and, you know, they put the starting defense out there. And, you know, anytime you got a starting defense, you're going to put a makeshift offense. But, you know, I was watching them run a little bit of offense, you know, so I saw the running back was getting the ball. I was like, I want the ball. So I just jumped back there as the running back. Next thing you know, I'm running through the defense. They can't stop me. I mean, I'm killing them. They get, you know, coach yelling at them and everything. And I'll never forget this. I had a teammate, his name's Stacy Young. He was probably about as, not quite as big as Wilmot, but he was big. He was in the 8th grade. I was in the 6th grade. And I was killing him so bad. And we ran a play. I think we ran like a 25 lead. And Stacy was so mad, he picked me up, and this is no lie, he picked me up and slammed me down. And, you know, I jumped up. Where I come from, you do something like that, we ready to fight. I don't care how big you are. I'm gonna fight. But to make a long story short, coach noticed that I had it in me just from that practice, and he came to me told the team that I would be starting the next game. And Ron Curry was the starting running back, and he was real good. He was big. He was a big kid. He could run. He was fast. And when coach said that I was gonna be starting the next game, he quit. And that was kind of like what opened the door for me, you know. And we played that first game. It was a little league game. This is no lie. We ran 28 sweep. The first 2 times they called it back for holding. We ran the same play a third time. I scored that third time. And from that moment on, I've been running the football ever since. So it's the it in you. You got it, and somebody will notice it. And that's what I think makes a great running back.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I call it that dog, man, because you know, when we from South Carolina, you gotta have that dog. Like if it's 5 dogs out there, one of them gotta get that bone. And I gotta be the one to get the bone. And you gotta have that playing any kind of, especially football.
Mm-hmm.
So what about you, Coach White? What makes a great runner?
Like Rob said, you have to have a good lineman. You got to be able to understand the ups and downs. And you have to be able to listen. You know, I was the type back that I would listen to that coach. Coach Bell Rhodes was my coach. And I'm still is, I'm very sensitive. Mm-hmm. If someone yell at me, I get upset. And so what I usually do, I usually go out and try to do my best.
Yes, sir. And
listen. If I don't want to listen to that coach, I don't need to be out there. Just like when I was coaching Rob. You know, Rob was an outstanding running back. But Rob knew that I'd been there and I knew that, and he was still on my trail. That's why it didn't hurt me to know that Rob broke some of my records. He didn't break all of them, but he broke some of them. But I helped Rob get there, although he had good coaches from high school, because you can't teach skills. You know, you can't teach skills. You can tell the person how to put your skills to use.
Yeah.
But like he said, you got to have a good lineman. By line, we was all line brothers. We was Omegas. All of us was Omegas, and they had another choice but to block for me. Because we done been through so much pledging that they know you can't let nobody touch JoJo White. Like at practice, I had a coach. You didn't hit 24. You hit 24, you get fired off the team. That's the way Mel Rose coach. You hit me, you off the team. And so my whole career, long as Mel Rose was my coach, I didn't even get hit at practice. And we had some crazy guys out there like Michael Bragg, linebacker, live in Charlotte. He hit me a couple of times. That was my homeboy from Wilmington. So Coach Rose knew that Mike called him Broadway Bragg. He knew Mike was going to do something crazy like that. But I wore a yellow jersey. I don't know about Rob or Wilmot, but I wore a yellow jersey at practice. When you see that yellow jersey coming, you need to stop.
Only the quarterbacks had yellow jersey when I played.
I had a yellow jersey.
They would try to take my head off every time, everywhere, anytime.
But you know what? Ron? That yellow jersey was good, but when we played teams like Winston-Salem, Central, Norfolk State, you know, when I got hit, I felt it, but I ran so fast that, you know, they couldn't touch me.
Right.
You know, so it played a role.
Right.
I didn't say I didn't want to get hit. It's just as rude. Stay away from the yellow jersey.
Use the man.
Yeah.
You know?
Wilmot, now I got to ask you this question about what makes a good running back. But before you ask that question, you had a regular jersey, right?
Yeah.
No. Yellow jersey.
Oh, like no, Wilmot. Your jersey was black or white.
Yeah. Everybody else had.
But you did. So you.
But I still never got that practice. Everybody knew not to touch me.
You probably ran over. With your size, you probably ran over.
Oh, you had to tell a couple of examples. You know how it go.
I remember one on the sideline. I'm not gonna call the person's name, but somebody gonna put it in the chat. So go ahead and do it if you want to. But man, Wilmot, when you did that, I was like, Wilmot's angry. Why did he do that? That's his teammate. He just ran him over, backed up like a bull, looked at him, and then scored. And everybody was in awe. And I was like, good goodness. But he did that stuff in games too. Like games, same thing. So I don't know why a teammate thought he could step in front of a freight train, and he was like a little Chevette. And you know what happened next.
You talking about in camp, in the summer camp?
That's right.
Oh, I know. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he had no business out there. You know how guys get to talking to myself, oh, I'm gonna go out and take somebody's spot. I'm gonna go do this and go do that. And you know, you look at people, you size them up like, bro, really? You don't bring it up to the table to be trying to do all that.
Right.
And you come around that corner and you see that number, you're like, well, I guess you got to get the introduction.
Because Wilmot, I remember the play because I was on the left side, so it had to be a 9. So it had to be 39 because you was coming right behind me. So yeah, it was 39, and we was going toward the goal line. Where the scoreboard was at. And man, when you hit him, I was like, "Good, practice over." That's it.
So you and Wilmot, y'all was there together at Livingstone.
Yeah, I was his lead blocker. I was number 16, the lead blocker. I did all the blocking for him because coach didn't want, coach didn't pass. He didn't pass on 85. So we blocked for Wilmot.
I got you.
Yeah.
Man, we had one of the best wide receiving corps that we never threw the ball. That's probably why they probably had more yards per carry than any other receivers in the whole Seattle play, because they would catch the ball half as much, but for twice as many yards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because everybody looking at the backfield. Think about it. If we are all coach want to do, establish the run, go up top. Establish the run, go up top. Establish the run, go up top. So when he threw the ball, it was a touchdown.
Touchdown.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna.
I've seen times it'd be third and 15, third and 20, something like that. And we laughing because they looking in the backfield thinking I'm gonna get the ball. And I'm like, this is still a football game. Why are you looking in the backfield at me? And we need 15 to 20 yards.
Exactly.
We ain't retarded. We're gonna throw the ball.
Yep.
First down, touchdown. I'm out there laughing because I done did a little decoy, and everybody comes to me, and I look up at them. I'm like, y'all stupid. Look behind me. Bombs away.
You're right, Wilmot, because you and Purnell, y'all could sell that fake. A 38, fake it, either a 38 hot to Big D, a 38 blue to either Torrance, Sean, myself, Justin the Flay, or Little Larry. Can't forget about the Air Force. And like you said, talented group of guys.
Yeah, we had a talented team for real.
Yeah,
like people give me a lot of the glory, but that team was good. Period. And I always say that team was good defensively, offensively, good offensive line, good receivers, had a quarterback you could trust and not make dumb decisions. You know what I mean? He tucked the ball and ran it before he tried to throw a pick. If he even think it's gonna be a pick, he run. And he tell you, I ain't like it. I'm not throwing a pick. You know what I mean? Because our main thing was possession of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As long as we have possession of the ball, we can always make up for it on the next play.
Right.
That's right. And we trusted so much in each other, especially the defense.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to halftime, this end of this quarter, and then after that we'll talk about getting to Livingstone. So here's halftime.